Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. First video in the series of what your clients want from training coaching is how your clients want to look. How your clients want to look. Big picture. Why do clients hire coaches like you? You're a coach either online and you coach training, or you're a coach in person, a personal trainer of some sort, and you coach training there. Why are your clients hiring you? It could be for a number of reasons, but I will submit to you that it's really mostly for just one reason. First, your clients could hire you because they want to be stronger. Makes sense? It's what you do with weights in the gym. You become stronger. Being stronger is great for all sorts of other things in life. And also, it's cool to be strong just for its own sake. Next, your clients might hire you so that they can live more independently. You get grandma stronger. She can take her own groceries out of the car. She can reach things at the top shelf, the usual. And that's definitely a thing. That definitely happens. Your clients could hire you, as they very often say, because they want to become healthier. The health benefits of training include decreases in fat mass that improve insulin sensitivity and glucose dynamics, which makes your clients anti-diabetic and less diabetically prone. You can increase the health of almost all other body systems just by reducing body fat. You can improve cardiometabolic outcomes through lowering of cholesterol and increasing good cholesterol to bad cholesterol ratio. You can reduce the chances of heart disease, stroke, all these other diseases just by losing fat. By gaining muscle, you multiply the effects of the fat loss in all of those categories. You, of course, also allow people to be strong enough to be mobile, and thus their physical activity goes up. If that happens, then that's a big deal, because a high level of physical activity, and of course the ability to do it, is a huge health conferring thing of its own. There are tons of things about exercise and lifting weights that are neuroprotective, that are good for the brain. And of course, there's the whole bone density issue. If you let people train with relatively heavy weights, anything in the 5 to 30 rep range, they end up having stronger bones. And that's a huge deal, especially for folks that are at risk for osteopenia and osteoporosis, specifically the most at-risk group being Caucasian older women. And everyone's at some degree of risk. And if you train, it's definitely better for your health. Again, there are numerous ways in which training is really, really good for your health. So when people say, hey, I want you to train me so I can get healthier, I mean, gee whiz, really hardcore training in the gym with a trainer is almost a panacea. It's good for almost every aspect of your health, which is wonderful. And last point to mention is, again, too many points to mention them all, but lifting weights through a full range of motion can increase your flexibility, reduce your chance of further injury, and actually let your joints become more protected against joint wear and tear in the future and acute joint injuries in the future. So if you're training clients with weights, not only does that increase their health while they're with you, but it buffers them against further health reductions, acute or chronic, in the future, so long as they continue to train with weights. It's a great, great thing. You can also train people, and sometimes they say this, so that they can be better at their other hobbies. If people are going hiking and they're climbing up mountains and stuff, they can be stronger for that. That's better. They can try to be getting stronger for running, for cycling, for swimming, and tons of other stuff that they do. Some guys will pay you money to get them stronger so their golf swing is better, so they can finally bang that secretary at work. I don't know why the hell people want to get good at golf, but if they do, strength training is a really big deal, and that's something you can help them with. Now, that's all well and good. But there is another reason why people want you to train them, and that is to make them look better, to alter their appearance to something they prefer more. And I will submit to you that in my decent experience training lots of people, interacting with lots of coaches, tons of clients, being a professor for a long time, having trained, super top ritzy rich people in New York for a bunch, 98-ish% of the time, the reason people hire you to train them is because they want to look better. That is so much the vast majority of why you will be training people, but the vast majority of everything I'll tell you is to do with physical appearance enhancement. Now, they'll even tell you that they want to improve their physical appearance and that's why they hired you? Something like 90% of the time. But if 98% of the people want physical appearance enhancement as their number one or even only reason they hire you, but only 90% of people say that, what explains that other 8%? What are they doing? I say they want to train for looks. They say anything but. Why? Because a lot of people have trouble admitting to others, sometimes even trouble admitting to themselves, that they want health enhancement. They want appearance enhancement. And they say they want health or strength because of a few different reasons. One is they think it makes them seem less vain. So if they tell you, look, I'm here to just get strong and get healthy, you're supposed to think, according to them, like, oh, that's great. What a great person. Whereas if they tell you, hey, I'm here to just like look better, maybe you'll judge them for being vain. And maybe they'll judge themselves for admitting them to themselves. And that admitting themselves brings me to the second part of this. Sometimes people actually want you to train them to get more jacked or leaner or to be better looking. We'll talk about technically how they want that in a second. And they haven't even understood that that's why they're at the gym. They could be on a journey where they say to themselves and fully believe, I want you to train me for strength. I want you to train me for health. As they train with you and their body responds and starts to change, they might start to be like, actually, this is all good and well, but I'm trying to look a certain way. And I have numerous examples of this happening in real life. I would have never known this. I was never taught this when I went to school, because in school, I went to a big D1 university, University of Michigan. It was a fine place to get a general education. And we had some classes that weren't a high priority for the university or the department that taught us, how to deal with actual populations, they're called, and train them and kind of how to train them and what they might want. And, it was not really the era of political correctness yet as much. Of course, Michigan always was, but it was, it's an academic setting. So they kind of have to believe/pretend to believe that people want sort of noble things from their training. So we talked about training special populations a lot, even though you'll almost never run into special populations like people with various diseases, disabilities, and things like that. You'll almost never run into them in personal training. They go to doctors and therapists and stuff most of the time. We talked about, how to train pregnant women a lot. You'll almost never run into pregnant women. We talked about how to enhance people's strength and health as if that's the reason people come through. So when I went in and started personal training, actually side by side with RP CEO Nick Shaw in New York City, we were training some of the most, high paying people. We didn't get a lot of that money, worked for another company, but we were training people that are, super elite business professionals, millionaires, sometimes billionaires. And this was cream of the crop, New York personal training, custom studio, boutique training. And we were like, all right, like we're college graduates. We know what we're doing. And I've had many, many experiences myself and seen this play out with other trainers a ton, where someone tells you, hey, I want to train for health and for strength. And you go, okay, because you believe people at their word. Typically, that's a good first level business practice. And then Nick and I would train these folks. And a few weeks in, they'd be like, hey, so are we ever going to do abs and biceps? And we were like, the guys would say that. We were like, you mean like crunches and curls? No, because those are not large muscle mass exercises that either enhance your strength a lot or because they don't build overall sort of metabolically active muscle per unit time, that you have 3 hours a week that you spend with me or 2 hours a week at 45 minutes each. 2 sessions a week at 45 minutes each. We're going to do compound heavy basics from dawn till dusk for 45 minutes. Bicep curls are a very low ROI exercise in this. This is one muscle, right? And explain this to them and they're like, right. Yeah, no, totally. And then sometimes they wouldn't say much about it for a while. Sometimes they would clap back right away, but often a week or two later, they'd be like, I really would like to get bigger arms. And at first I was like, oh, I gotcha. Why? That doesn't help with overall strength and health as far as best use of your time. And I stopped saying incel shit like this shortly. I started being able to read people better because everyone was like, yeah. And it sometimes got a little awkward where they were like, I want to look like this. And I was like, I didn't say this. I was like, these are brilliant business professionals, literally Harvard educated lawyers. It's like, they really wanted something else, didn't they? And they did. They did. They just wanted to look better in their business suits. They wanted to look better naked. And we had tons of these kinds of interactions all the time. The ladies said they want to just be healthy and strong. And then they're like, what do I do about this tricep fat? What do I do about my ass and my glutes? And it was like, you're here purely or 98% for enhancing your physical appearance. And to the clients that we got close to, which was many people, sometimes we'd ask them, like, hey, remember you came in for strength and now we're training for bodybuilding? What do you think about that? And they're like, well, yeah, come on, man. Nobody really gives a shit about strength. They'd be like, oh, that's news to us. We care about it. And like, yeah, come on. Everyone wants to look good. And I would have never believed this was as tilted as it was unless I was immersed in the personal training world. And now in the coaching world, in some sense, for 15 years at this point. That's really how it works. That's really how it works. And if you learn nothing else from this video and the series of videos, please understand almost everyone that comes to you with any training goal wants to look good. And they're going to pay you a lot of money to help them out. And that's really what they want. And sometimes it's what they want, even if they don't tell you that. So let's say we believe that. They want to look good. How? How do we go about making people look better in the gym with our toolbox? 2 ways. The 2 main ways to do this. First way is to reduce fat. The second way is to gain muscle. And you almost always do these concomitantly. The fat reduction is mostly a factor of keeping their physical activity at a high level. Don't worry, we'll get to that in other videos. And how to construct their diet intelligently. Don't worry, we'll get to that in other videos. And the training is mostly how to gain muscle or preserve muscle while they're losing fat so that they don't become anorexic and sickly looking at the end of a 12-week fat loss phase, but rather they're shapely and strong and sexy and curvy and jacked and all that other stuff they always wanted to be. So on the reduced fat end, people want to reduce fat. And the next question we can ask to ground ourselves and really trying to understand what it is my clients want is how lean do people actually want to be? First, the range of leanness that people want to be isn't as big as you might think. It's not even as big as a lot of people will initially tell you. Why? 2 things. First, people construct their preferences of what they want to look like a lot of times in relation to their usual experiences of what they look like. So if you take a businessman who is at 30% body fat, little titties and shit, love handles, and you get him to 20% body fat over the course of, let's say, 6 months or a year, it is highly unlikely that he's going to be like, that's it, we're done, we're here, maintenance for life. No. For a few months, he's going to be really happy. Then he's going to get used to looking like that. And he's going to want to become leaner because he's used to comparing himself to himself, which is healthy, and he's going to want more. And the next question is, point 2 here is, well, okay, that journey apparently happens for most people, and it does. You get someone leaner, they get used to it, they want more. Where does that journey end? For most people, the vast majority of males want a fully visible 6-pack. That fully visible 6-pack is the beginning of the conversation of, is this as lean as you want to get? I've never met a single guy ever, who didn't secretly or openly want a 6-pack. And I've met plenty of guys for whom a 6-pack wasn't enough. They wanted to be shredded and veiny and all this other stuff. Now, those people, there's a big spectrum. But what I'm telling you is the range begins at 6-pack as a desire of where they eventually want to get. And many people are realistic, like it's not in the cards for me, or it's going to take years. That's totally cool. But 6-pack for guys and for ladies, it is the beginning of that conversation is, I have a tight midsection with nothing hanging off. If I can have a completely tapered, chest to midsection to thighs, and there's nothing hanging, that is the beginning of how lean most women want to be. If you put a woman in a tight dress, even if she started out at 300 pounds and is now weighing 180, and she started out gargantuan and is now way leaner, but she's not lean enough yet such that there's still some stuff hanging off the sides and the love handle area. I don't mean pooching out, I mean hanging off. I can almost guarantee you that if she had the ability, which through you she may, to get leaner still, if she just had to press a button, at no cost to you, do you want to get leaner easily? Press this button. She would press it. Some women, just as long as everything's slim and trim, nothing hanging off, they're done. Just like some guys, 6-pack. Some women want to go further and get everything real sharp, definition in the arms, 6-pack, 4-pack. Some ladies want that 6-pack. And that's not everyone, but a lot of women. And then some women want leaner still, but not a ton. The conversation for guys, most guys, and yes, I'm very comfortable saying this, most males you will ever endeavor to train, the end of what they really want begins at 6-pack and goes into that area below 6-pack body fat range, which is something like 10 to 15% body fat, depending on how genetically you store fat. And for ladies, most of them want at least everything slim and trim, nothing hanging off, and many of them want to be leaner still. So for women, the body fat percent that target usually it envelops is 25 to 15% fat, or something thereabouts. That is what you have to understand to be your best trainer and your best coach, is where most people, admit it or not, want to end up. If you know that, you know an unbelievable amount of insight about what actually is your job and how best to do it. And the entire reason for this lecture and the rest of the lectures in this series is to get you guys who are already coaching and training people up to a better standard, and to get you folks that haven't done this before and this is your first rodeo up to realizing where in the universe of people's desires you fit in. Imagine you were working as your first time owning a fast food franchise, or not even a franchise because they help you a lot with what people want. You're opening up a fast food joint by yourself. You have the money. You're a great chef. You can do a lot of stuff. It's just options on which way you want to go. What kind of food do you want to prepare? If you think that people who come to fast food joint want healthy, super healthy food, but it tastes okay, you are going to be running a business model that has a very low probability of success. Just like if you're a personal trainer and you think most people don't care about getting lean. Most people don't care about getting abs or getting a form-fitted waist situation. If you open up a fast food restaurant and you know that the reason people go to a fast food place and come back is if you give them unbelievable, super tasty food for cheap, you have maybe not the answer to market dominance over McDonald's, but the beginning of a core winning formula. So if you're a trainer and you know where all of the swirl funnels into, where everyone really wants to end up, it's great for your sort of trainer navigation system to know this, because then you can make sense of a lot of client requests. And as I'll get to in a little bit, you can actually guide people to a place they didn't even know they wanted to go. Gently, never assuming anything, of course. And then you end up in a situation where 98 out of 100 of them were like, this, I didn't even know what results I wanted before I came to see you. Now, 2 years later, I can't believe the body we built together, because you had this video that you watched, you had a crystal ball into knowing what they really want, even better than they do many times. Now, does that mean you need to explicitly promise them that you're going to get them abs or extra lean? No. First of all, you really can't promise that because who knows if they're going to be successful. There's a lot of interplay there, effort, genetics, etc. But your job isn't to get them ultra lean. Your job is to get them leaner than they are now by a notable margin. And I'll tell you another thing. If you want to be successful in personal training, there are two parts of success, just two. One, are you really helping people? You got to be able to sleep at night. And two, are you making good money? That's it. Easy two-stop formula. If you want to be successful, if you get people leaner, you're going to be helping them at a deep, deep level. If you are getting people leaner, they are going to pay you lots of money. If you can dependably get people lean in a way they find more pleasant than they expected, more fun than they expected, and more successful than they expected from their average trainer experience, not only are they going to endeavor to continue to pay money to work for them, they are going to recruit their friends and relatives to come see you, even if they're not trying. Because they're going to go to the work Christmas party and someone's going to come up and be like, Janice, what is this? She's like, I don't know. It's just a new dress. I haven't worn it since high school. Oh my God. And Tracy's like, what are you doing? What's your secret? Like, oh, well, my trainer, he works uptown. She's like, I need his number. No. And then she finds you that the quantum universe and just teleports to you, lifts you up like this with her hand. Show me how to get lean. Oh, okay. Put me down. That's ideal because Dark Lord of the Underverse must have a lot of money. You're like, it's going to cost you. She's like, just instantly, like there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in her hand and she just dumps it in front of you. You're like, oh, okay. Are you really strong too? Because we don't have weights for Dark Lords of the Underverse or whatever. In any case, if you get people leaner, you're going to do really well. And that is 9 times out of 100 what people want. Flat out. Two parts to this. People want to get leaner and they want to gain muscle. Let's talk about gaining muscle. First, how much muscle? And second, where on their bodies do they typically want to gain this muscle? Again, I'm trying to give you an understanding of the landscape that you probably will be dealing with. You want to, quote unquote, know your enemy, so to speak, right? If you're playing a video game with your friends, it's like a shooter video game. You don't just like pick up the controller or put on your VR shit with your gun and go, all right, let's do it. You're like, all right, what are we looking for? Who's the enemy? Who is shooting? Is it zombies? Is it big monsters? Can I shoot my friends by accident? Or do I just like, does the phaser go through them? Tell me what's going on. I want to know what I'm doing so I can be successful. This is what we're laying out here. It's just a basic understanding of like, what's the universe typically like? That doesn't mean every single person. We'll talk about that in a bit, a caveat it. But it means like, yeah, like we really, really want to know what we're dealing with here. So how much muscle? On average, and there's a normal distribution about this with exceptions on every side, females usually want to look muscular-wise like a nationally ranked or pro bikini competitor. Not female physique, not figure, not female bodybuilding. That's too jacked for most women. Bikini. And you can Google, like IFBB Bikini Pro. And if you Google IFBB Bikini Pro off season, you're going to see a level of muscularity and body fat that the average woman, if she's endeavoring to train with weights, you're like, hey, do you want to look like her? They're going to be like, yes. What? Who the fuck answers no to this? Google somebody like Jen Dorie, Jendorie, I think. She's won the Bikini Olympia before. That body is not what every woman wants to look like. It is a body that the biggest fraction of women that go to the gym at all would say, yeah, that right there, that's it. That doesn't mean everyone, but that's a real good middle ground to shoot for. Now, clearly, Jen Dorie is the best in the world. Almost no one's going to get to looking like her. Arguably, no one but a few people on earth have ever beaten her in competition. But that doesn't mean that that's not where people want to go. So it's good to have an ideal, and the closer you can get them to that ideal, the better. The thing is, Jen doesn't have, and a bikini girl doesn't have a ton of muscle. So the reason she's winning Olympias is because of the total package, the whole look. And a lot of that's due to her diligence in the gym and her nutrition, but also due to genetics. It's just her bone structure and where she puts muscle. But that level of muscularity is what we're talking about most women are interested in. Males want to look like a natural Jared Feather. So feel free to Google that. Jared Feather, drug-free. Somebody who weighs, Jared at roughly 5'10", weighed about 175 pounds, just stripped to the bone. Big shoulders, teeny little waist. We'll talk about proportions in just a sec, but that level of muscularity is, when natural Jared Feather walks by you on the beach, almost every guy is like, yeah, I would kill to look like that. That is really the ultimate pinnacle of what a person should look like. Very few guys are trying to look like Big Ramy. Like some of us, we're trying to look sort of like that, big freaks. Not a ton. Not a ton of guys are trying to look like the bikini equivalent of a guy like Harry Potter or some shit. Come on, I want to look like a man, God damn it. But that drug-free physique competitor look is sort of the gold standard, the ideal. Now, most guys, will never get to be that muscular, but something like that is what they're trying to achieve. And some of them are like, yeah, that's too much muscle. But a scaled down version of that, that's what a lot of guys are trying to do. And if you know that, then you can automatically assume, and we'll talk about this in a sec, if no extra data is provided, that at least start walking your client in that direction. And some way on the way, they're going to say, actually, I want to look like this other thing. But much more likely than not, the closer you get to that ideal that they're capable of with their genetics, the more they're going to be like, this is amazing. I'm looking like a god or a goddess. And there is a decently large range between different people. But the good thing is as you start walking towards those two idealized physiques for males and females respectively, you're going to be able, and always in a constant communication with your client, and they're going to be able to steer you into like, bigger than that, or smaller than that, and everything in between. But at least you kind of know where to go. Very important. Now, the second part. First part is how much muscle. Answered that. Second part is where. And there are very, very good, distinct understandings of what most people want. And thus, in the absence of them not being able to tell you, because a lot of people just don't know, or their guesses are wrong, you can guess for them and start them probably on the right path. It's like, imagine if you were an award-winning chef and someone came to your restaurant omakase style, which means like they don't order anything. There's just one menu, and there's not even an announced menu. That's the chef makes you what he makes you. A lot of people, if you were like, had a world-class chef around and he was like, all right, you got me for 3 hours. What do you want me to make? A lot of people, including myself, I'm going to be like, I don't know. Just do that shit you do on Instagram. God damn it. Make me good food. It's your fucking job to know this. So many people have the same idea about personal training and online coaching. They want the look. They often can't even articulate what that means. So we're like, well, which muscle groups do you want to work on? They're not even sure they know the names of the muscle group. I'm a Harvard lawyer. My job is fucking laws, God damn it. You didn't go to Harvard. You don't know law. You don't know how the fuck to read jurisprudence and shit like that. No worries. I'll take care of that. But when I hire you for personal training, you tell me what to do so I look like I want to look. And if you already know more or less how they want to look, oh my God, you're miles ahead. Right? If you come to a lawyer and you're like, hey, I've got this thing where the landlord says that I can't build an extra addition to my house, but I read the rule book and it seems like I can. A good lawyer isn't going to be like, well, hold on a second. What exactly is it you want? A good lawyer is going to be like, I understand exactly what you're saying. Let me look at the stuff and here you go. And you go, wow, holy shit, that was easy. You're like, yep, I just looked exactly the law, and it turns out you are allowed to build up to this much, no more. And if your landlord says anything, he's definitely wrong. I can send him a letter that says, don't fuck with me because I'll sue you under the ground. The landlord gets that, and he's like, oh, shit, I guess I was in the wrong. Good lawyer. A good doctor doesn't have to ask you a trillion questions to get to know what's wrong with you. And a good personal trainer is already clued in on what you're likely going to want. He's, of course, going to confirm it with you, explain it to you like a human being and not an exercise scientist. But at the end of the day, he's got a ton of, intuition about what it is that you may want. And this exact video right now is to help you build that intuition. A lot of you have a ton of it already. So maybe I'm just here to confirm it. But maybe me confirming it builds your confidence because, well, shit, if Dr. Mike thinks this is the case, and he's the Mr. World Expert guy, then at least I'm more confident assuming this for clients. So here it is. What muscle groups do people typically want to prioritize as far as growing and attending to training them? In order of their importance from first to last, here they are for females. On average, there are exceptions, absolute. And if there are exceptions, people will almost always tell you about them. First, glutes. I've met a female that didn't want to work on her glutes. Just kidding. I've never met a female. I just never have. I've met a lot of females. 3. My wife, my sister, and my mom. And all of them are training glutes right now, God damn it. All jokes aside, glutes rank 1 by a mile. Evolutionary psychology, social pressures, who cares? That's not your job. Your job is to get them what they want. Glutes. So get real good at training people's glutes, especially females. Next, hamstrings. This isn't something they typically know they want, but larger hamstrings have this effect of bringing up the glutes physically and making the glutes stand out even more, taking glutes from dumpy to athletic looking. You get a girl with some developed hams, oh, there's something about that no girl with developed hams has ever been upset about. The next is quads. Not all females want big quads, but quads plus the inner thighs that mostly are quad and some adductor. Training glutes, hams, and quads really trains your inner thighs about as well as anyone could ever want. Not all women want massive quads, but sleek, strong, sturdy quads, almost no woman is going to deny. Calves. Having a nice pair of calves, especially as you get leaner, look amazing when you're wearing heels. Calves bring that boom, boom, double taper to the leg that really, really stands out. And very few women are going to be like, my calves are too big. They'll say shit like that when they're really just very overfat. As they lean out, they realize it was never their calves that were too big. Those are cankles, girl. And now, thank God, we've been training your calves. You're good to go. Now, a lot of females will have calves just naturally that are as big as they want them to be. But that still means they want their calves to be there. And if a woman has a very, very skinny lower leg and you help her train her calves, she might really like that result. Next, abdominals. It's not that they want big abs. It's that some women, and not all, this is where this on the slides here is ranked on the sort of second tier, they want abs that pop out or obliques that pop out just a little bit. So they could be at the beach or wear a belly shirt to the club or whatever and like, ooh, a little ab there. So sometimes they do want to train their abs because per any given level of relatively low body fat, there's going to be some ab protrusion going on. Back. Muscular backs, everyone knows, look sexy as shit, especially in a backless dress, tank top, etc. And also having a slightly more muscular back exaggerates the hourglass shape like crazy. So backs, even if they don't admit it, you train a woman's back for a while, you don't even have to tell her, hey, we're getting big lats, just do this exercise, do this row, do this pull down. They're going to really like the look. Next is shoulders. This one's a bit of a give and take. Now we're getting into the lower end of the list. Some women love having some shoulders taking up some fucking space and having that like 80s model look with broad shoulders, Bridget Nielsen type of shit. Other women, they don't want the broad shoulders. That's a bit much for them. But almost all women want that separation with their shoulders and the rest of their shit. Almost all of them like that. So some delt training is in the works for almost everyone. Last in line, arms. Not a ton of women want bigger arms. Now, a lot of this training for pushing and pulling and shoulders will get their arms bigger anyway, which is like more than enough for most women. Some will want extra, totally cool, but most aren't in the gym to try to get the biggest arms in the world. Upper chest, A lot of times women will think that training upper chest makes them sort of look more masculine, and that's a great look as far as I'm concerned, but most women don't agree. We have to respect that. And very few women, though with notable exceptions, want big traps. Traps, aka the Tom Hardy muscle, they're not a very feminine muscle. I think it's super fucking hot. Girl with traps, amazing. But then again, I'm not the person generating the value judgment here. This is based on tons of observed experience from actual human beings that tell you what they want. And even if they don't tell you, you give them traps and they're like, I don't like. And you take the traps away and they're like, I love my physique now. And you're like, all right, fine. That's how it goes. So if you have a program written for the average female that really prioritizes, whether consciously or not, whether you planned this or not, traps and upper chest and arms, they're going to have an okay time. But if you have a program that prioritizes glutes, hams, quads, and some abs and back, get them calves in there if they need it, they're going to have a great time and they're going to like it and all the good things are going to happen. What do the guys want? Again, there are exceptions. There is a normal distribution. These are averages, but they're nonetheless very informative about what you can expect your average client to want. Arms. Never met a single guy that didn't want bigger arms. Chest. Yes. Delts. Yes. Back. Almost always. So some guys do forget about it, but when you remind them that their back makes them super wide and huge from the back and the front, they're like, yeah, I'll take that. Everyone wants that V taper. And of course, most guys, not all, want big traps. Traps are the ultimate manly muscle. You see a guy with big traps, you know that's a guy not to fuck with. Also, having big traps makes you look really sweet in a suit, because in a business suit, you look like an assassin. Everyone wants that. Abs, they're on the list. But again, with abs, with guys, it's more that they want their abs to exist, and most of that's dieting and not training. Some of them want to train them to get them to pop out a little bit more. Some guys do care about quads and hams, so the leg is definitely a thing. And a lot of guys don't care about calf training. They just don't. And very few guys care about glute training. One of the reasons guys care little about glute training is because when males with their testosterone levels and genetics that make them more prone to muscle gain than females by a long shot on average, when they train their hamstrings with hip hinges and when they train their quads with various squats and presses, their glutes get so big that it's plenty glute enough for them and extra glute work isn't required. Just like with the females, if you just have them train, their shoulders and their backs and do a little bit of pushing movement for them, the arms will generally be big enough that they're like, yeah, good enough. That's how guys tend to see glutes on average. Now, how big is the variation here? Are there lots of girls that want huge upper chests? Are there lots of guys that want to do a glute emphasis program? In my experience, no. Not even by a little, not even hardly at all. Most people will fall right in line, but with a few minor differences in this priority spectrum. And here's the good news. If they fall in line differently, they'll let you know. And then, of course, you do what the client asks. But there's more to that I'm going to say in just a bit. How you want your clients to look. How your clients want to look. Good God. Couple of things just to sort of pull this conversation back together to a finish. How you'll end up coaching your clients is always and everywhere a relationship, a conversation that you're always having with your client. You set some goals together. You check on the way to those goals that they're on their way. And after the goals are accomplished and you pick new goals, you check again to see where they want to go. You can never and should never impose appearance preferences onto your client. All you can do is be a guide. So if you guys have ever seen, there's I forget which one. I think it was maybe the first modern Spider-Man movie. He had that AI girl in his ear the whole time. The suit came with AI and there was a female AI person that what she would do is really awesome for how you can conduct yourself as a trainer. And I think it's a great template for very well-aligned AI, neither here nor there. she would say, hey, Spider-Man, you're trying to shoot your web so far that like it might break. And he's like, I know, and I'm willing to take the risk. And she's like, okay, I'll try to maximize tensile strength just to help you. And it was like, she gave him fair warning. Are you sure about this? And when he said yes, she's like, okay, great. I believe you. I'm all in on your side. In very much the same way, if your client is like, look, I want to look like this, it's totally cool for you to tell them in a gentle, ginger, educated adult way that like, oh, that's interesting. Most people want this other thing, but I totally hear you. What do you think? I'm totally on your team. Because they might be like, oh, yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, let's get that other thing. Versus them just never hearing about it. Because remember, you're the expert. They want what they want, but this is your world. You know everything there is to know, so to speak, about this compared to them, for sure. And they can always tell you, no, I do want that thing I said. And you go, okay, great, let's go get it. So some guys will tell you, I want big arms and chest and a back. Like I said, they forget about shoulders. You could be like, I got you. A lot of guys tend to want like big, broad shoulders too. Are you into that? They're like, oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Matter of fact, I want that more than everything else. Hey, thank God you said something. You didn't have to say anything. You're not imposing your values of bigger shoulders are better. You're just informing them that this is typically a thing that people like. It's like a car. It's like a car salesman, a good, ethical car salesman. I know, where are they at, right? Selling you a car. And you're like, okay, I want this model. And he could be like, okay, so typically people like the convertible. Do you want the convertible or not? No, it's totally cool if you're like, I want the coupe. I don't want the convertible. He's going to be like, hey, great. If he's a typical car salesman, he'll probably be like, nah, you sure? Blah, blah, blah. But good car salesman, ethical car salesman, great. But he also has data that shows that 90% of the people that walk in the door, they want the convertible. And that 45% of the people that walk out the door with the coupe come back a week later and be like, I actually wanted the convertible. I'm like, no worries. We have an easy trade-in policy here. take the fucking convertible and run. We have like a 2-week thing where it's like, if you buy your cars pre-owned, used, it just bring it back. We check it, make sure you didn't blow the thing up entirely. You're convertible, no problem. Because he knows really well what other people want because he's done this so often. So in much the same way as a personal trainer, it's totally cool for you to inform your clients of what typically people want, especially if they seem like they're doing two things. One, proposing a very discordant idea, like a woman that's like, I want big muscles, arms and chest and traps and stuff like that. You wouldn't say, hey, that's stupid. You'd be like, okay. And a lot of folks want like big legs too. Are you into that? It's totally cool if she's like, nah. So one is if they say something really unusual, it's totally cool to be like, okay, that sounds great. Now, typically what a lot of folks want is also this. Do you think about that? Because they might be like, oh yeah, no, I don't forget what I'm saying. But the other thing you're looking for is how confident are they in that? Because sometimes they'd be like, oh, I want this. I think, yes, this is what I want. Then it's totally easy for you to be like, are you interested in this as well? Versus if they're like, I want exactly this for these reasons. You don't even have to bring it up. Great, I got a program for you. So make sure it's always a conversation, but never impose your values. So if a girl's like, yes, I do want big shoulders and a big chest. Like, okay, you don't have to. You should never, almost never, be like, wow, that really is not going to get you any dates, lady. Because most guys don't like that. Maybe she's not after most guys. Maybe she's not into guys. You ever think about that? She wants to be the fucking, the butch girl, and she's getting exactly what she wants out of the program. You have no idea. So, or she's like, her legs are already thickety thick and she just kind of wants an upper body to match. Word up. A trillion reasons she can want different stuff. All you got to do is just be like, okay, did you want to do some? And then you insert what the typical person wants to do. And they could say yes or no. A lot of times they'll be like, oh, actually, yes, definitely. As a matter of fact, that's first priority. But also a bit of upper chest. Then you're good to go. Now, we don't want to impose our standards on people and our values. That's for them to impose on us as a service provider. The only reason that we did this exercise together, where I sort of clued you guys in on what they should probably want or actually want, even if they don't tell you, is a few reasons here. We are preparing you to get amazing at the task, even better than you are now, of getting good at making them lean and jacked in those specific ways / areas. If your toolkit with females is every single way to get maximum glute hypertrophy, no matter what the situation or limitation is, wow, you're in the right place training females. Whereas if you're like the expert on trap training for females, that's cool and all, but most of your clients, they just will be like, but that's not what I want. We want to make sure you develop a toolbox that's reflective of the demands of the situation. So as an analogy, if you're running a country's military and you go to war and you know that the opponent is going to bring planes and ships and tanks, it's weird if you bring like fields of men with muskets and horses. It's just not that kind of war. Or even that's a bad analogy because it's just unbalanced. It's weird if you're going to be fighting in the open fields with a couple trees here and there. So it's a big tank battle with planes and stuff. And you bring a bunch of like snipers and a bunch of vehicles that are good for house to house fighting in the city. We're not fighting in the city. You want to know where the battle space is so you can bring the right tools to play. All good tools. It's just different tools for different jobs. So if you know that most guys want to look like this and most girls want to look like that, you can get really good at making them look like this and like that. And there will be differences and there will be curveballs. So you got to know it all, but you're going to know the things you do most often the best. I'm a fine strength training coach. I'm a fine powerlifting coach, but I generally don't do this stuff anymore. I focus almost all on hypertrophy now, coaching bodybuilding and getting people jacked. So even though I know a lot about powerlifting and strength training, I did help write a authoritative book on the subject. It's not the thing I'm best at. So someone's like, hey, can you coach me for powerlifting? I'm like, I can. There's certainly better alternatives. That doesn't mean I'm a bad powerlifting coach. And if clients ask me to coach for powerlifting, yes, absolutely, I sure will. But I know that most won't. I know that 9 out of every 10 people that approach me will want hypertrophy training. So that's the thing I want to be the best at. So what's one of the reasons I'm including you guys in about this is what you can expect people will want from you 9 times out of 10. So you better get good at it because that's the battle space. Next, you want to know what people on average want so you can use this as a placeholder for a default program. Because a lot of people, and this may, if you've never personal trained or online coached, this may baffle you. But if you think it through, it's not that baffling. And if you've coached before, you're going to get a good laugh out of this. I've seen that before. A totally huge fraction of people will approach you for your services and be ready to pay you money. And you go, okay, what do you want? And they go, this stuff. And you're like, yeah, like what? Like training. I'm like, yes. What do you want to look like? They're like, ooh, like Jared Feather or whatever. Or like Jen Dory or like I want to look better. God damn it. Isn't it your job to know that? Which kind of makes sense. It's that omakase chef thing again. Just make me good food. Damn it. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. A good omakase chef is going to be like, don't worry, fam. I got you. Watch this. Boom, boom, boom. You make the food. Boom. Oh, it's amazing. What is this? I don't even know. I don't care. I love it. So if people come to you and they just want you to train them to make them look better, a lot of times that is both the beginning and end of their expertise on the subject. Like when I go to a dealership to buy a car, typically, as you guys know, if you followed me before, I don't go. This is all totally pretend. My butlers go, and they only go to one dealership, the Lamborghini dealership. But if I was a regular plebeian human being and I went to a car dealership, I don't know anything about cars. Wrong analogy. Lawnmowers. I go to Home Depot to get a lawnmower. If the guy's like, okay, what kind of lawnmower are you looking for? Motherfucker, some shit that mows my fucking lawn, bro. The mower does this and the grass does that. That's all I know. I can't, because sometimes you like go to buy a specialty product, even general product. The guy is asking like questions you don't even understand. It's like, all right, do you want like, because this one mixes the oil and gas together And this one keeps them separate. I'm like, motherfucker, I don't even know what oil and gas are. I thought it was the same shit. Just like a fucking lawnmower that works. Can you just interpolate your experience here and just tell me what I need? That happens all the time, and it happens a ton in training. So if you know that, well, the average male wants this and the average female wants this, and here's kind of what they want to look like eventually on average by a long margin, then when people come to you, which they will, and they go, hey, what, the training thing, that's what I'm here for. You got something for me? You go, absolutely. Now, if they tell you, hey, I want this, that, amazing. They're filling the blanks for you. But you have to have something to fill in the blanks for them when they just don't know. Because if I go to Home Depot and I'm like, Mr. Lawnmower Man, which is Scott the Video Guy. Have you seen that movie, Lawnmower Man? I have not. It's a classic. Pierce Brosnan is in it, and he's great. My spiritual James Bond. Always. In any case, if you show up to the lawnmower store and the lawnmower salesperson is like, well, like, if you don't tell me how you want the gas and oil to mix, I can't help you. Oh my God. If I was that guy's boss, I'd be like, Jim, get over here. Get the fuck out of here. You're fired. What the hell is wrong with you? If the client doesn't know what they want, you tell them what they probably need. And I don't mean from a scummy, weird, see, just sell them everything, see, the most expensive one. No, that's terrible business. You're not ripping your clients off. You're giving your best guess is what you think they want, because here's the mind fuck. Your best guess is better than theirs. And if it's not, they'll let you know. Communication works really, really well. And lastly, if they insist their goal is strength or health, and they don't care about the physique, there are different ways to go about getting them strength or health. Health is you just do a lot of physical work in the gym and you try to build a big base of muscle mass and reduce body fat, and also train hard to get good bone density and through a full range of motion to get maximum mobility, maximum prevention of injuries later down the line, best joint health. All of that stuff I just said also applies to strength. You just sort of pick some movements in which you want to increase strength on. All of that, there are ways to go about it. Muscles to grow more or less than others. You only have so much time in the session, so much time in the week. That can make you look more like natural Jared Feather, more like Jen Dory, or more dispersed, not really so sure where we're going with. People come to you, they say they want strength, they want health. Wouldn't it be neat if you gave them exactly what they wanted? But as a neat side benefit, they look like fucking Adonis or Aphrodite at the end. They're like, well, yeah, I mean, I hired my trainer to make me stronger and get my blood work better, but I turned into Superman. Convenient. Versus you can train people to get same health, same strength, but then they look like not so aesthetic. You're like a thick chest and back and little skinny arms for guys. Or a woman who's really strong and fit, but her legs aren't that jacked, and she's kind of big traps and delts. It's a great look if you're into it, but most people aren't into it, and they don't know that. So even if they're just not ready to tell you what they really want, or even if they have no preference or desire, the way you get them strength and health is tilted at no expense to strength and health, by the way. There's all right answers. In ways to train for strength and health, there are ways to train to make people look, on average, how they probably want, the stuff we've been talking about, and a spectrum of ways that, towards that end, they could look a different way and like it better. If you train them more on this side of the spectrum, where you are very highly certain, not 100%, they will like the results of strength and health, of course, that you're getting them, but also they'll be like, side benefit, I'm unbelievable now. Check me out at the beach. Check me out in my business suit. Check me out in my dress. You're winning on all sides. Use this information to the best of your abilities, and I'll see you guys next time for the next video.